it's Tuesday tour day. And I'm dying to make a joke about being lost in the weeds, but we're not going to do that. But these props were too fun to not use. They're left over from a listing that we have in escrow. We needed to screen the parking lot from the inside of the unit. So we put all these out on the deck so people saw green stuff instead of parked cars outside the window. It worked. It sold. So the first one I'm going to talk about was on Little Beaver Street. There is a street called Beaver Street, and it's in the DuBose Triangle, very central location, quite close to the Castro District. They were open this weekend. Very brave agent held this open during Gay Pride. He tells me he had 90 parties through on Sunday. Some agents are questioning how many of those people were just there to use the bathroom, but he swears that all of them were real buyers that were seriously interested in the property. It is an 839 square foot full flat listed for $899,000. It is only 1 bedroom, 1 bath, but it is lovely and large enough, I think, for 2 people to live quite comfortably. It's a splendid little street. Does have parking. Point of curiosity, this last sold in 2013 for $850,000. At that time it was listed for $799,000. So we were in an overbidding trend then as well. And an $899,000 listing price, I think, signals that they believe this should be going for $950,000 or above. When I list homes, I usually tell my seller that they should expect a floor at a certain price, and that ideally they will go up from there based on how many bids come in. So an $899,000 price, I would probably tell my seller they could hope for $950,000 as the floor, barring some extraordinary circumstance like an earthquake during the marketing period. So that's that one. I went on to 4444 18th Street, also in the Castro. This one was also open on Sunday. They did not advertise it as heavily, so they had a much smaller turnout. Because they did not want to be a pit stop for people that were drifting around the Castro District from the Gay Pride Parade. I think like 1 million people came to Gay Pride. So I'll bet those porta potties were pretty busy. Anyway, this is a really pretty top floor unit, Romeo style. I've talked about the Romeo style before. It's a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 1 car parking, 915 square feet, listed for $949,000. It's a true 2 bedroom. This particular floor plan, however, puts the living room all the way at the front overlooking the street, and the kitchen all the way at the back overlooking the backyard. Very nice deck actually off the kitchen, which is really sweet. But then the bedrooms and the bath are all in between. So it's kind of spread out, which could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on your lifestyle. So there's that one. I then went on to what I'm going to call the outer Noe. On Duncan. There's a little portion of Duncan that is kind of cut off from the rest of the world at Castro. It's really pretty. It's maybe like a 2-block long street. It can have some tremendous views, very quiet, very sweet. It's set way up on a hill, so some people might question its walkability because of the steep slope to get down to the shopping district, but it's quiet, it's lovely. This is a 2 bedroom up, 1 bedroom, 1 bath down, so I think it's a 2-1 up, 1-1 down, mid-century home. Total square footage is represented as 1,682, but about 550 of that is all downstairs. So the main level of living is only about 1,050 square feet. And if you actually look at the tax records on this house, it's only going to show the 1,050 square feet. I did not inquire as to whether or not the lower level was done legally. It's lovely. As I recall, the ceilings are high enough to make it look really nice, livable, quality space. And that is listed for $1,595. And she tells me she's got 11 disclosure packages out. So that's what a mid-century, relatively modest home, built in 1954. That's what that'll get you these days. Then I went out to the Bayview again, which is so fun, especially when I discovered these little blocks that I've never been on before. And I'll bet you didn't know that the 1700 block of Revere is way adorable. And there's 2 houses for sale right across the street from each other. One's a fixer, listed for $699, which was really fun to see because I sold a home on Paloux a couple of years ago that this house is very reminiscent of. For $699, you get a fixer that's got a 2-bedroom, 1-bath on the main level, and upstairs a really cool bonus attic space that has the Knotty Pine, Knotty, pine, finishings, which might indicate actually that it's old enough to be considered legal living space, which is kind of cool. Beautiful, really pretty backyard. Fixer, needs some work, but fixer in what I think is a really fun way. It hasn't been screwed up by anybody yet, so you get to buy it and make it something your own. Worth going to take a look. And because this was across the street and I knew nothing about it, I called, it was on Lockbox, I slid on in. It is a completely redone 2-unit building. Upstairs is a 2-2 with a bonus finished attic. Good space, beautiful deck, lovely backyard. And then downstairs is a really nice 1-bedroom, 1-bath. This is a true 2-unit building. This is not a single family home with what we call an accessory dwelling unit. These are 2 real units. They are asking $125. That's expensive. And I told the listing agent I think that's expensive. But I am gonna run this past my buyer because I think it could be a good find for him. I have a buyer that's been shopping out in the Bayview. He's written an offer maybe just on, I think on 1 or 2 homes, and he's missed out so far. But this is something that I think would really be up his alley. And that is it for today. Bye.